Have you ever noticed how the moment you start changing, the energy around you changes too? At first, people smile. They say they're proud of you. They cheer when you take the first step, when the change feels small, safe, and easy to digest. But as your growth deepens, as the wins get bigger, something strange happens. The applause gets quieter. The conversations feel different. The people you thought would always be there begin to act distant. And it makes you wonder, why? Why can't they just be happy for me? Why do I feel resistance from the very people I thought would celebrate me the loudest? The truth is, growth doesn't just change you. Growth changes the way people see you. It forces them to look at their own lives, their own choices, their own lack of movement. And not everyone can handle that reflection. So instead of celebrating you, they resent you. Instead of clapping for your success, they fall silent. Instead of walking with you, they pull away. And here's the hardest part. Sometimes it's not strangers. It's family. It's friends. It's the people you love most. The ones you expected to be in your corner forever. Their reaction isn't always loud. Sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it's silence. Sometimes it's hidden in a smile that doesn't reach their eyes. But if you pay attention, you'll see the signs. That's what we're diving into today. The 5 signs that growth makes people secretly hate you. Not because you've wronged them, not because you've become arrogant, but simply because your growth shines a light they're not ready to face. And if you've ever felt that shift, if you've ever noticed the distance, the silence, or the subtle resentment, you're not alone. Growth can be lonely. Growth can be painful. But it's also the proof that you're becoming the version of yourself you were always meant to be. So let's break this down, step by step. Let's talk about the 5 signs to watch for and why you shouldn't take them as rejection, but as confirmation that you are moving in the right direction. Sign 1. They feel insecure. This is where it all begins. You decide to change. Maybe it starts small. You wake up earlier. You choose water over soda. You finally pick up that book instead of scrolling through your phone. At first, no one says much. They brush it off. They assume it's just a phase. But then, something shifts. You keep going. You keep showing up for yourself. And that consistency starts to make people uncomfortable. Why? Because without meaning to, you've become a mirror. Every time you improve, they see what they've ignored in themselves. Every healthy choice you make highlights the choices they're still avoiding. Every risk you take reminds them of the chances they never dared to grab. And that reflection stings. It's like holding up a spotlight in a dark room. Suddenly, the dust, the cracks, the shadows, they can't be ignored anymore. Think about it. Have you ever told a friend about a new habit you're proud of, only to hear them say something like, "Oh, that's easy. Anyone could do that." Or, "I could start tomorrow if I wanted to." But they don't start tomorrow. They don't even start next week. Instead, they just use words to cover up the discomfort of not moving forward. That's not about you. That's about the way your progress makes them feel about their own lack of progress. It's almost like your growth shines a light into corners they've spent years keeping hidden. Corners filled with procrastination, with excuses, with unfulfilled dreams. And when the light hits those corners, people react in 2 ways. Some are inspired. They think, if they can do it, maybe I can too. But others? They feel threatened. They'd rather attack the light than face their shadows. That's when the jokes start. That's when they roll their eyes at your discipline. That's when they say, "Don't get obsessed. You're overdoing it." But here's the painful truth. Sometimes those reactions come from the people you love the most. Family, friends, even partners. And when their insecurities speak louder than their love, it hurts. It makes you question yourself. It makes you wonder if you're wrong for changing. But you're not. Their reflection is not your responsibility. You can't dim your growth just so they don't feel exposed. The reality is, your growth is going to make people uncomfortable. And that discomfort is often the clearest sign that you're doing something right. Because growth is loud, even when you're quiet about it. You don't have to brag. You don't have to announce it. Just by living differently, you remind others of what they've chosen not to do. And not everyone has the courage to look in the mirror you've become. So if you've felt the sting of someone mocking your progress, or brushing it off, or acting like it doesn't matter, remember this. It's not about you. It's about the reflection your growth is forcing them to see. And sometimes, the only way people know how to handle that reflection is through hate, judgment, or silence. Sign 2. They downplay you. This one cuts deep because it's not always obvious at first. You finally achieve something you've worked hard for. Maybe you got a promotion. Maybe you launched a project you've been dreaming about. Maybe you just hit a milestone in your personal life, losing weight, healing, breaking an old cycle. And in your heart, you're proud. You know how much it took, how many nights you doubted yourself, how many times you almost quit. But when you share it, instead of celebrating, you get a shrug. You get a casual, "Oh, that's cool." Or worse, "You're just lucky." It stings, doesn't it? Because you know it wasn't luck. You know the hours you put in when no one was watching. You know the nights you stayed up while they were sleeping. You know the sacrifices you made that nobody saw. But to them, it's easier to call it luck. It's easier to brush it off. Because admitting the truth, that you earned it, would force them to face a painful question. Why not me? Sometimes they even disguise it as humor. They'll say things like, "Don't get too excited, it's not that big a deal," or, "You think you're the first person to do that?" They laugh while they say it, but it's not really a joke. It's a shield, a way to make your achievement seem smaller so they don't feel smaller standing next to it. And here's the part that hurts most. Often, it's the people you thought would cheer the loudest who downplay you the most. You expected them to clap, but instead they crossed their arms. You expected joy in their eyes, but instead you saw discomfort. And in that moment, you realize something powerful. Not everyone wants to see you win, even if they say they do. Why? Because your win reminds them of their losses. Your breakthrough reminds them of their excuses. Your progress makes them realize how long they've been standing still. And instead of using your success as proof that it's possible, they use it as proof that they've been left behind. Think about it. When you were at your lowest, when you were struggling, people were comfortable. You were relatable. You were safe. But the moment you started rising, the balance shifted. They had to either rise with you or find a way to pull you back down. And the easiest way to do that? Downplay your success. Make it sound like nothing. Act like it's just another day. But don't let their silence, their casual words, or their dismissive tone fool you. Deep down, they see it. They feel it. They know your success is real. They just can't bring themselves to admit it. Because admitting it would mean admitting that you've outgrown the box they tried to keep you in. So if you've ever felt that cold dismissal after sharing something that mattered to you, remember this. It's not that your success isn't big. It's that your success is so big, it shakes them. And when people are shaken, they reach for comfort. And sometimes comfort looks like denial. Your job isn't to convince them. Your job isn't to make them clap louder. Your job is to keep winning, even if the room stays quiet. Because your life, your success, and your growth are not meant to be downplayed. They're meant to be lived fully, even if no one else gives them the applause they deserve. Sign 3. They go quiet. At the beginning of your journey, it feels like people are behind you. They say things like, "I'm proud of you." They clap when you take the first step. They cheer when you announce you're starting something new. And in those early days, it feels good. You feel supported. You feel seen. You believe they're with you for the long run. But here's where it shifts. As your growth continues, as the small wins become big wins, as your phase turns into a lifestyle, that support starts to fade. Slowly, almost quietly, the cheers get softer. The congratulations stop coming. The conversations you thought would be filled with encouragement become awkward silences. You bring up your progress, and they change the subject. You share a new achievement, and instead of excitement, you get a quick, "Oh, that's nice," before they move on. And suddenly, you feel it in your gut. The people who once clapped for you don't clap anymore. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because your consistency has become proof. Proof that you're really changing. Proof that you weren't just talking. And that proof threatens them. And here's the hardest part. It hurts the most when it comes from people you love. You expected them to be proud of you forever, not just at the start. You thought they'd celebrate every milestone with you, not disappear when the milestones got bigger. That silence feels heavier than hate, because at least with hate, you know where you stand. But silence? Silence feels like betrayal. Think about it. Have you ever shared something important to you, something you worked hard for, only to be met with nothing? No response, no excitement, just emptiness. That's when the loneliness of growth hits hardest. Not when strangers doubt you, but when people you trusted stop acknowledging you. But here's the truth. Their silence isn't proof that you're doing something wrong. It's proof that you're doing something right. People often cheer for you when you're on the same level as them. But when you keep rising, some of them don't know how to handle the distance. Your wins become reminders of the dreams they put on hold. And the easiest way for them to cope is to stay silent, to pretend it doesn't exist, to act like your growth isn't real. So if you've felt that silence, if you've shared your heart only to be met with emptiness, know this, you're not alone. Every person who chooses growth eventually feels it. It's part of the process. And it's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their inability to clap for something that reminds them of their own unfinished story. And maybe, just maybe, that silence is a blessing. Because it teaches you something powerful. You don't need their applause. You don't need their validation. You don't need their approval to keep moving forward. Your growth speaks louder than their silence ever could. Sign 4. Backhanded comments. This is where the resentment stops being quiet and starts to slip through their words. It's rarely loud. It's rarely obvious. In fact, it often hides behind smiles and laughter. But if you listen closely, you'll hear it. It sounds like a joke. "Oh, look at you, acting all fancy now." It sounds like concern. "Don't push yourself too hard. You're going to burn out." It sounds like advice. You know, not everyone needs to be so obsessed with success. But underneath the joke, the concern, and the advice, there's a hidden message, a seed they're trying to plant in your mind, a seed of doubt. Have you ever noticed how sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who deliver these little comments? It almost feels like betrayal because it comes from the mouths you trust most. And that's what makes it dangerous. When strangers doubt you, it's easy to brush off. But when someone you love wraps their doubt in a smile and disguises it as caring, it hits deeper. You start to wonder if maybe they're right. Maybe you are changing too much. Maybe you are going too far. But pause for a moment. Ask yourself, why would someone who loves you try to hold you back? Why would they clip your wings when you've just started to fly? The answer is simple but painful. Because your growth threatens their comfort. And rather than admit that, they'll dress up their insecurity as advice, humor, or concern. Think about how subtle sabotage shows up. You tell them about a new idea you're excited for, and instead of encouragement, they say, "That sounds risky." You share a new habit you're proud of, and they laugh, "That won't last." You celebrate a win, and they respond with, "Well, don't let it go to your head." Do you see the pattern? Every comment is designed to pull you back down to where they are, to remind you not to soar too high. And here's the trap. You might start shrinking yourself so you don't make them uncomfortable. You might start downplaying your own excitement because you're tired of hearing the jokes, the doubt, the side comments. Without realizing it, you start dimming your own light so their insecurities don't cast a shadow. But hear me clearly. You were not meant to shrink to make anyone else feel safe. Their backhanded words are not a reflection of your worth. They're a reflection of the war they're fighting inside themselves. Your growth is confronting them with truths they've buried. And instead of facing those truths, they'd rather try to slow you down. So the next time someone throws a subtle jab, remember this. It's not really about you. It's about them. It's about their fear. It's about their discomfort. And you don't have to carry that. Because if you let their comments take root, you'll start living their limitations instead of your possibilities. Your journey is too important to let passive-aggressive remarks steer you off course. Smile, let them talk, and keep moving forward. Because your success is the loudest response you'll ever give. Sign 5. They distance themselves from you. This one hurts in a way the others don't, because it's not always words that reveal the truth. It's absence. It's silence. It's the slow fading of people who once felt like home. At first, you don't even notice it. They still check in. They still laugh with you. They still show up. But as you grow, the space between you grows too. You keep moving forward, and they don't. And little by little, you feel the distance. The texts that used to come daily now come once a week. The calls that used to last hours turn into quick check-ins. The invitations to hang out become fewer and fewer until one day you realize you're not really part of their world anymore. And it's confusing, isn't it? Because you didn't fight. You didn't hurt them. You didn't do anything wrong. You just started becoming someone new. And that new version of you didn't fit into their old comfort zone. So instead of adapting, instead of rising with you, they step back. They drift. They leave you with questions they'll never answer. Here's the raw truth. People don't always leave with drama. Sometimes they just quietly walk away because your presence makes them feel like they're standing still. Your growth is a constant reminder that they've chosen not to move. And instead of facing that, it's easier for them to create distance. Not because they hate you, but because they can't handle the reflection of themselves when they're around you. And the silence that follows, it cuts deep. You miss them. You miss the version of them that used to laugh with you, support you, cheer for you. But the painful part of growth is realizing that not everyone is meant to walk the entire journey with you. Some people are only there for a chapter. And when the chapter ends, no matter how much you love them, they fade into the background. But here's where the empowerment comes in. That distance is not rejection. It's redirection. It's life filtering out the people who cannot carry the weight of your new self. It's making space for those who can clap when you win, not just when you struggle. It's preparing the ground for new connections, ones that celebrate your growth instead of resenting it. So yes, their distance hurts. Yes, it feels like loss. But in reality, it's proof. Proof that you're stepping into a new level. Proof that your energy is shifting. Proof that you're no longer available for the version of life you once settled for. If people are distancing themselves from you, don't chase them. Don't beg them to stay. Don't twist yourself into knots trying to fit back into the old version of you they were comfortable with. Because if you do, you'll lose yourself in the process. Let them go with love. Let them go with peace. And keep walking. Because the people who are truly meant for you will never need to distance themselves from your growth. They'll grow with you. So when the silence comes, when the distance feels heavy, when you're tempted to shrink just to be loved again, remember this. You are not losing them. You are finding you. And that is a trade worth making every single time. So here's the truth. Growth isn't just about the new habits you build or the milestones you achieve. It's about the shifts that happen around you. It's about the silence where there used to be applause. It's about the jokes, the distance, The subtle resentment you never expected from people you thought would always stand beside you. And yes, it hurts. It hurts to outgrow people you love. It hurts to watch the support fade. It hurts to feel like your success has created a wall instead of a bridge. But that pain is not a punishment. It's a sign that you're moving forward, a sign that you've stepped into a version of yourself that not everyone has the courage to meet. The right people will never fear your growth. They will never resent your wins. They will never distance themselves because you're becoming more. They'll rise with you. They'll clap when no one else does. They'll love you, not just for who you were, but for who you're becoming. So keep walking, keep growing, keep shining, even when it makes the room uncomfortable. Because your growth is not the problem. Your growth is the proof that you are alive, evolving, and stepping into the life you were meant to live. And if you've felt these signs in your own life, I want you to know, you are not alone. If this video spoke to you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need the reminder today. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep walking your path. Thanks for watching.